So I'm very excited to be able to talk to you today about what we did in TESF and what we found out. We funded 67 projects altogether in India, Rwanda, South Africa and Somalia, Somaliland. And those projects looked at the relationship between education and sustainable livelihoods, sustainable cities and communities and climate action. So we recognise that the kinds of problems that we're dealing with, they're so complex that they can't be solved by academics alone. We need to bring in the perspectives, the voices and the agency of those who are most affected by these issues. And I think what is special and distinctive about our approach is that we adopted a co-creative approach.
We have been very careful in terms of handling power dynamics and also ensuring that everyone is equal and everyone has equal voice. I think power of dialogue is significantly underestimated in thinking about solutions.
It's been an experiment really in knowledge democratization, involving not just university-based researchers, but teachers in schools, civil society organisations and students themselves and out-of-work youth and other stakeholders in the different national contexts we're working with. And these are very often voices whose perspectives are marginalised and don't feature in dominant narratives around education and in existing research evidence.
Knowledge can come from anywhere. Knowledge is created around the kitchen table, under a tree, in the marketplace. Knowledge is created everywhere. We would have conversations about how do you foreground the marginalised voices of people who might, be illiterate or who might not be able to speak English, who struggle with accessibility.
So the problems that these projects are dealing with are very real, they're very visceral, they really affect people's lives in very profound ways. Whether we're talking about the problems of youth unemployment, or whether we're talking about unsustainable cities, overcrowding, people living in informal settlements, a lack of services, or whether we're talking about the effects of climate change, whether it be drought in the Horn of Africa or flooding in South Africa, Rwanda and India. These are very real problems. And cutting across all of these kinds of issues are major inequalities that have their roots in history, whether those are based on class and clan and caste, but also inequalities based on gender, on rurality, or whether it's the kinds of inequalities that are experienced by indigenous communities. Education has a potentially transformative role to play in addressing these problems, but if it is to do so, then education itself needs to be fundamentally transformed. So these are the kinds of issues that we try to address through these 67 projects.
My experience has been the enormous strength and enthusiasm from each of these projects and the objectives that each project had to address. These were concrete objectives addressing relevant contextualized challenges that we have.
We've seen women's groups being able to, voice their particular interests in how they would like to see things change in their communities. We've seen activist organizations being able to mobilize more strongly amongst their communities to strengthen water security, for example. We've seen children in schools being able to grow food for their families and to bring communities into the schools. We've seen teachers being able to teach differently.
Some of the programs that we have funded worked with informal traders. 99% of the transactions take place over mobile money. For a lady who was selling fruits and vegetables, and she would say to you, you need to give me 20,000 shilling. If you sent 2,000, she couldn't differentiate. These individuals are now able to read and write and do basic maths. To those individuals, that was a life-changing experience.
So it's been a very interesting process. I think some of the most important outcomes from the project that we are seeing has been coming to understand the type of research that we need in our institutions today.
To look at how we make research about relationships, about the co-creation of knowledge, about the development of really diverse partnerships, and maybe making research look like something that might not have been seen before.
It allowed us to get in some of the best young minds, energetic minds, so that we facilitate this idea of knowledge co-creation, and believe me, they are now agents of change. They understand how to bring these multiple challenges and issues together.
So through TESF we've had this unique opportunity really to find out more about the kinds of structures and processes and supports that are needed and that can be put in place to enable the democratization of knowledge.
And I think it's the building of relationships and the building of connections and the, being able to empower communities. I think that's probably the most important legacy of TESF.
I myself and my team here in Rwanda, we've even built our own capacities, and believing that we can do this one together, and we are into it together to create a better world for people.
Everyone empower each other. You see the local leaders empowering academicians with their knowledge. You see local people empowering local leaders, sharing the experience. Then everyone was empowered through the process of co-creation.
So what we have created has the power to catalyze many significant changes on the ground because of the sheer power of our assembly. It has ended up becoming this beacon of hope